Good morning, Sonya.
Good morning, Judith.
I'm Judith Fender, one of the amazing coaches with the No BS Weight Loss Program, and welcome to the Coaches Cup.
And I'm Sonya Green. I am a women's empowerment coach, and you can find me at sonyagreencoaching.com.
Sonya and I have a really interesting topic this morning. We, with the holidays coming, we wanted to talk about people pleasing, right? Part two, if you will. We have an episode from earlier in the year, and this is more of a continuation of so kind of a relationship thing. So we were talking and discussing that, it's a relationship you have with yourself.
Yes.
And it's a relationship you have with others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's twofold. And with keeping in mind that a relationship is where you relate to people. That's conversations, y'all. So it's the conversations you have with others and the conversations you have with yourself.
Yeah.
Just want us to keep that in mind as we talk about this. And since this is my first time leading, and now I'm aware that we didn't talk about the reviews, and
we'll go back and do that later. But I think this is important right now, especially because we are a week, 2 weeks. I think when this drops, we're just a week, maybe or two from Thanksgiving. And this is when, I don't know, it seems for me, and you can answer this, Judith, if it feels that way for you, but it seems like this is the time of the year when people our coaching clients start really feeling the pressure of people pleasing.
Right. And that feeling of pressure is coming from their thinking of all of the events that are coming up and all of the ways they're having this realization that they're not going to be able to say yes to everything. And that's bumping into their head game on trying to please other people and not themselves.
Yeah. And it's really exhausting. When you feel like the world is on your shoulders and you have to make everybody happy, oh my goodness. Let's talk about depleting some energy.
Right. I mean, that's your sign right there, y'all. If you're tired, if you're exhausted, check in. Why do you feel tired?
Yeah. Yeah. Because the holidays really were not put there to punish us, but
all in a row.
Yeah.
All in a row like that. Yeah.
But how many people do you talk to during the holidays where, it's almost to the point where they've come to dread it because they feel they have this obligation to keep so many people happy. And that's what made us decide it's time to have another episode where we really dig in, not just to a definition of what is people pleasing, but looking at signs if you are a people pleaser, because sometimes people don't even realize it. And then the causes and the effects of it. And we're going to try to help you have a holiday where your relationship with self and others, that game is upped, and feeling
100.
like a doormat is decreased.
It's out.
Yeah.
Right. Where you see this is a season of self-care and self-love for yourself, because this could be the beginning, this could be the middle of the end.
Yes.
If you are taking care of yourself and showing up from a place of authenticity, for love and joy, for yourself first and others second, if you're sharing your happiness versus depleting the love,
yes,
then you're not going to be dreading the holidays. So,
all right. So, what is people pleasing?
All right. Well, that's putting others' needs ahead of your own.
Yeah.
And I love the thought offering to my clients that, because many of them know, they'll say, I'm a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser. And I'll say, well, why don't you just replace that with I'm a people manipulator? Just go straight there. Just take away people pleasing.
I love that.
I'm a people manipulator, Coach Judith. Yeah. How's that feel? Because that's what's going on. How do you know what other people want? How can you get in their head?
Mhm.
And if we are all responsible for our own feelings, our own thoughts and feelings, then who are you to think that you can make someone else happy?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, that is really the key right there is I'm sorry, but folks, we don't even have that power. If
Nope.
it's up to me to please I mean, my husband and I together, we have 6 kids. Even just the 6 of them, let's not start talking about extended family. I can't even please the 6 of them. I can't even
Right.
please just my
Right.
husband. It's just not possible. And so if you take that off the table,
Mhm.
it's already it makes me feel better.
Right. Like when you said 6 kids, I was like, wow, Sonya, I
Yeah,
don't know that I even realized that.
I
That's
know
6
when you
kids,
stack them all up, it is.
right?
Yep.
That's a lot. Uh-huh.
But I mean, we can only please ourselves, and we'll get into that in a minute, but some signs that you might be a people
Oh
pleaser.
my word. I'm going to have to tell you when, there's like the list, right? You can go to Psychology Today or anxiety or depression. Holy smokes, that one knocked me right in the face because y'all know I do have anxiety issues. In fact, when we decided that I was going to do the intro, I had an immediate like anxiety response. But that's one, like you're checking in with your feelings.
Yes.
Do you feel anxious? Are you avoiding things? Avoiding people?
Yeah, that avoidance one, man, I get on to myself. I'm quicker to notice that than anything anymore if I'm in avoidance mode. If you feel guilty about saying no to
Mhm.
something or not doing something.
Right. And resentment's a big one as well. If you feel
Yeah.
resentful, holy smokes, that's a hot one.
Yeah. If you apologize a lot, this is one that I have worked on, especially with my female students. Outside of the classroom, it's
Mhm.
it's not something that has anything to do with English, with technical professional writing at all. But I see so many female students who just apologize for everything.
Right. And I think for so long, and we'll go there with the Southern girls. We can't speak
Yes.
for the Northern ladies or the Western ladies, where we believe this was part of our culture.
Well, I kind of can because I taught at a university in Philadelphia for a while, and I did not see it there. I
Interesting.
can definitely, and that doesn't mean that
Right, right, right,
nobody.
right, right, right. But
I'm not
I
saying
think it's
that.
more common
Yes.
here in the South to apologize. Like it for the longest time, I would just catch myself saying it. But I'm sorry, you were saying,
No, it's just that's one that I notice a lot, and try to work on with the women and that I teach because they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Well, why are you sorry? What
yeah.
part of that did you cause?" And they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, well, I didn't, but I'm sorry." I'm like, stop. I'm
Because they're
sorry. I'm
so
apologizing so much.
right, they're so on autopilot
Yes.
for doing things for others that doesn't even register because
Hmm.
they were thinking in that moment that they had displeased you.
Yeah, exactly.
And not
Exactly. And
thinking
they even apologize for apologizing.
that's yeah, that's something. And so you might have a difficult time saying no, which I love so much about this one is like that is a really good check-in, y'all.
Mhm.
And if there was a homework assignment in case we forget, um, practice saying no. Just go ahead and start right now. Take your safe risks and start practicing on easy ways to say no. Create a little list.
Yeah, we were talking about Andrew Huberman last time, and what was it? Distress creating
Distress tolerance.
distress tolerance. Yeah, um, there's there's one that you can practice on.
Yeah, and just get your reps in, build your muscle, your
Exactly.
no muscle.
Exactly.
Used to the discomfort
Yeah.
of feeling your feelings in the moment and let other people take responsibility for their feelings and you take responsibility for your feelings because you're creating it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're not saying that it's easy to do these things, but if you want easy, go back and listen to our episode from a month or so ago on change. It's not easy. These things take practice.
And even as I feel like in this moment, like I'm feeling confident about it, because I do think in a lot of ways I have worked through people pleasing. It was masked with anxiety, right? Like I feel like there's so much about anxiety that masks a lot of things about me, but that I feel very confident in saying no now.
Yeah.
Whereas before that I definitely could have fit into that mold.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the causes of people pleasing, because I think that really gets to the heart, understanding what it is about you other than culture. Culture is a huge one, that you've been trained to be a people pleaser. But I think that we see a lot of people who have low self-esteem, low self-worth.
Right. And the interesting thing about that is that it just compiles upon itself. If you're already having low self-esteem and then you're people pleasing and you're not having conversations and you're not connecting with yourself and you're not taking care of your own needs, I mean, it's like a perfect snowball.
It is.
To becoming the doormat.
Yes.
To having that feeling, because you are creating it for yourself.
Yeah.
With your thinking and your feeling and your doing, people.
Yeah, it's the opposite of distress tolerance, right?
Right.
It's that acceptance that, well, I need to be small. I'm not worthy of anything more than just being everybody's doormat. That's where I belong. And they can walk over me and rub their feet, wipe their feet on me.
And that's such a terrible thought. Even when you say it, I mean, it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
To think about that. And the other one we see here is perfectionism, which rolls right in from our last week episode.
Yeah.
And that's, wanting everything to be just so, including, again, right, manipulating other people's feelings because you want things to be perfect. So you want other people to behave in a certain way, to feel a certain way, to get your needs met, which is so interesting because when we think about that in and of itself, like I get mad, I get happy, I get frustrated, but why do I feel like it's not okay for other people to be mad or frustrated, right? What is it about my thinking that has me reacting, viscerally inside, which Sonya, we didn't talk about this, but like that could go straight down to that inner child, right? This is where you could go and figure out your core beliefs. Where did you get this line of thinking?
Well, and what it all boils down to is that we have been trained from an early age that we are responsible for other people's feelings.
Right. So-and-so hurt, you hurt so-and-so's feelings.
You need to apologize. And it's just not the case. I keep going back to the energy level. We have never talked about the Enneagram. Do you know anything about the Enneagram?
I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I've had students forever who keep asking me, Dr. Green, what's your Enneagram? And so finally I got the book and I was reading it and now I'm not going to remember the name of the book, but The Road Back to You, I think it's Ian Crone. And I am a 5. I am firmly a 5. And I am a person who's always afraid that I'm not going to have enough energy, which who knew? But if you all have listened to me over the last 70 some episodes, I'm always talking about depleting energy. That's a big one for me. And what?
Interesting. I'm like taking it in, like what? Yeah.
Well, and it's exhausting to me to think about trying to please everyone, to meet everyone's
Oh,
needs.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's interesting that, that has a lot to do with the way I'm made, that I focus on energy.
Mm,
But I, the perfectionism, all of the low self-esteem, all of that requires so much energy to think that we can actually have any effect on
mhm,
other people's thoughts and feelings.
mhm.
And so I think that's one of the reasons I find so much freedom in being able to give that up. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's easy to let them feel
Oh
their
my
feelings.
gosh, Sonia, the complexities of this is not lost on me as, oh, I'm actually getting up to shut the door because my husband's coming home. Hold on. But the complexity of the relationship with self and other, right? This is back to relationships and
Mhm.
how we interact with other people in our environment, whoever they may be.
Yeah.
And as we become more evolved in our journey and learning how, it all just is that trickle down. I love how you called it energy. I would call it feelings,
Mhm.
because energy is a feeling.
Yeah.
Um, that we all tap into this. Like none of us escapes all of this. We
Yeah.
are all working this model in some level. So I feel pretty confident in saying that.
Oh, yeah. Even if we come at it with different language, with different
Right,
experiences,
right.
we're all moving through it. And
Mhm.
yeah, and your past experiences, I, we called it culture at the outset, but that's as probably as big an indicator as any. If you deal with people pleasing, it's your past experience
Mhm,
and how
mhm.
much of that you've carried with you.
Right. Again, kind of going back to those childhood experiences and what you were
Right.
exposed to as a child and how you navigated relationships as a child and thinking that your behavior could change that of your parents'
Yeah.
behavior. And at some point, I don't know, my parents did divorce, but I was a 32-year-old adult when that happened.
Yeah.
But there was still a lot of that surfaced for me because I think as watching them grow up, or as I was growing up and watching them, I was mindful of wanting to be thinking I could control if mom was happy, if dad was happy,
Yeah.
then everything's going to be okay. And
How much of that conflict can I take out of this equation?
right, right. And I could not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how so many people pleasers are born, right?
Mm-hmm.
And looking at it from the standpoint of watching other women, watching older women in my life, like I, my grandmother, I am not even sure if you asked her her favorite, her favorite dessert, let's say,
Right.
if
Mm-hmm.
she could even name it, because she spent her life making things that other people want.
Mm.
That But I think it's also important to say, and maybe this is a good segue into the effects of people pleasing. Just making those things doesn't necessarily mean that she's a people pleaser.
Right. Because she probably took a lot of pride in how she cooked. She got a lot of external validation out of
Mhm.
people saying things about what a fine cook or seamstress or quilt maker, whatever it is that your grandmother did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
What's the thing that makes the difference?
is if you validate yourself and you do it for the joy,
Mhm.
for the love that it creates within you, and then there are no strings attached to anything that you do or give to others, and you are left feeling, I'm going to use the term, whole and complete, that you don't feel depleted, that it gives you energy.
So
It
it's our
doesn't.
thoughts.
Well, there's that.
But that's what it is. That's what changes it. It is just like perfectionism. We talked about how there's a perfectionism that comes from excellence, and there's a perfectionism that comes
Yes.
from fear. I mean,
Mhm.
we can do things for other people. We can spend our lives doing things for other people and not be a people pleaser
Right.
in the
Not
way
feeling
that
like
we're
a
talking about.
doormat, not feeling like a doormat,
Yes.
not feeling resentful, not feeling guilty if you don't do for others.
Yeah. And it
Feeling,
all comes from your thoughts.
yep. Yep.
If you, I mean, if you genuinely derive joy, like you said, you are energized by it, then it's
Mhm.
not an issue.
Mhm.
But if you're afraid of what people are going to think of you, if you're, if it's coming from that place of I'm not good enough, then that's when it is an issue, because it's always from that place of fear and
Right.
shame and
Lack.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, versus abundance.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how are we going to fix this?
Oh
How are
my
we going to
word.
get them to turn their holidays around and start some practices that makes people pleasing into a healthy relationship with themselves and others?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now.
I knew you would.
You're going to work on yourself first. You're going to look inward, girlfriend, and ask yourself some questions and look at your motivations and figure out, and like you mentioned earlier, you know, ways, developing ways to check in, look for your easy win on a where can you practice saying no, getting those reps in,
Yeah.
and seeing this as an act of self-love, right? A
Yes.
self-care, doing this from a place of nurturing yourself, because it's going to also nurture the relationships you're in. That's the beautiful. I love the word nurture because that's such a reflexive model. If you're nurturing others and you're nurturing yourself.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be my first advice. Just start small and work on yourself first.
Yeah, if we started talking about how the holidays are the thing, and this is like perfectionism. You don't throw all of it out at once and just start with a whole new plan.
Oh my God. Oh,
But
that's like people making their meal plans
yes,
for the
exactly.
week or the day, like that. What do we call it? Virtuous planning. No
Yes.
virtuous planning here, y'all.
No,
Doable.
but maybe you always have Thanksgiving at your house, or you always have the holiday meal at your house where you prepare all the food. A small step would be to say, we're having it, but hey, could you bring this dish?
Mhm,
And ask somebody else, could you bring a dish?
mhm.
Instead of feeling like you have to do it all, because you know what? You might have been denying people the opportunity to
I
take
love that.
part in
Mhm,
this gathering all along.
mhm.
So many times I and maybe, this is just me, but I feel when I get into people pleasing mode, I feel like I have to. Well, nobody else wants to do it. It's all on me. And I've seen so many clients fall into that same trap.
Right. That,
But maybe it gives somebody some investment if they could bring a dish or two as well.
right. And that makes it, that pulls back again into that. What do you need?
Yeah.
Taking care of your needs first, and looking in, because if you're taking care of your needs, then you're not going to be feeling like you can't show up or you can't say no or you can't do things. You're going to be like, oh, I feel taken care of. I've said no to things I can say no to, and I've said yes to things I can say yes to.
I've delegated a little bit.
Right. There you
So
go.
let's take those small steps. We're not throwing it all out and creating a whole new plan.
Mhm.
But to that end, I think it's important to sit down first and decide, what are your goals with this? What are your priorities?
Right. I was going to think, like, look down and be honest with yourself and look at yourself with truth and sensitivity,
Yeah.
and to not, because that's going to make your life easier, because if you don't look in, if you're not honest and truthful with yourself, it's going to make it more difficult.
Yeah. People pleasers are not in integrity with themselves. They
Correct.
are not honoring their values. And so it's important to set it all back to that. What do I need to be in integrity with myself, and where can I start the small step?
Mhm.
I was thinking a lot as we were prepping for this episode about the previous episode we had, the power of the pause.
Mhm.
I love that episode so much because I think it fits especially well here, because that whole concept that Frankel has between the stimulus and the response, between someone asking you to do something, if you can just take a minute, if you can just say, I need to get back to you on that.
Mhm.
I need to
Mhm.
check my calendar, or whatever you can do to put them off
Mhm.
and give you time to really reflect.
Mhm. What I love so much about what you're saying there too, because it's that mindful practice of checking in,
Yes.
grounding yourself in the moment, taking that breath for yourself, being truthful and honest, and asking for some time if you need it, and moving forward from a place of integrity.
Yes. Because your habit brain, if you don't drop in that pause,
Mhm.
your habit brain is going to say yes
Yeah, you're in default,
right out
right?
there. Yeah.
Default.
You've got to interrupt that habit brain.
Mhm. And somewhere I had made a note about, like, even that, even that thought that we're on habit brain is you still have to take responsibility for the choice, because in the end, when you give ownership away of calling it a habit, you're also giving away ownership of the responsibility of the emotions you're creating for yourself. So if you see everything, I'm working on this with myself, and when I coach my clients, like, it is no longer a habit. It's a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice. Whether you say yes or no to people, whether you pause or not, you are still responsible for how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Pleasing self is, again, we've been taught so many times that if we please ourselves, then we are being selfish.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And really, we are creating a better world, both
Right.
for ourselves and for others, if we show up in integrity.
And here's the other, like, I want to go one step further. How, to be an inspiration to others. If you break down the word inspiration, it's to be in spirit. So if
Yes.
you are in spirit of authenticity, what a better way to show up for yourself and others than to be in spirit of of saying what you mean and mean what you say,
Mhm. Yeah.
period.
And isn't that a beautiful way to think about spending the holidays?
Right. In spirit.
That's the whole goal. I mean, it should be.
In spirit of self-love. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
integrity, so that I can be in a good place, and I can share that with other people, and you know
All
it's,
good.
yeah, it's all good.
Are we simplifying it too much? But I am getting fired up thinking about it. Like,
I Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it all goes back to that practice of honoring yourself, and in doing that, you are going to honor other people. You're going to be gifting them.
mhm.
You know,
And asking yourself, like, has people pleasing ever worked for you? Has it ever worked?
mhm. Yeah,
No.
how do you show up when you're people pleasing?
Right?
Because folks, we know how you show up. We know
Mhm.
how we show up. And generally, I don't know, maybe you are good at fooling people. Maybe they are convinced that you love having everybody over to your house and cooking all the food and doing all the cleanup.
Mhm.
But again, if you are not in the space you need to be in, if you're not in integrity with yourself,
Mhm.
then you are creating a lesser experience than you deserve.
I think that's so good. And like, asking yourself the question at some point, you got to check in. And why am I unhappy? What am I feeling right now? Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel resentful? And just kind of rolling that back and answering your questions honestly and truthfully. And then you can, decide ahead of time. How do I want to show up for the holidays?
Yep.
How do I for my people in my relationships? How am I going to relate to myself and to my people during the next, days, weeks, months? And
That's one thing that I know ahead of time, because my word that I decided I was going to work on this year was abundance.
abundance. So good.
And so if I am showing up abundantly, then I am pouring out all the love and joy that I can to share with those people. That's what I want. That's how I want to show up.
That is so interesting to hear you say that. I did pick a word at the beginning of the year, and life threw, my mom passed away, and kind of just hadn't thought about my word in a very long time. And I think I still have, at this recording, still got like 80 days left in the year to work out my word. Powerful.
Oh, I think there's lots of ways you've met that this year. You want to know? I'll tell y'all my little secret. To keep my word in the forefront of my mind. I printed. I don't remember if I printed it or wrote it. I can't see it right now, but it's on my desk at school. I have it taped to my pen holder there. Just abundance. And ever so often I'll look up and I'll be reminded.
Mine used to be behind me, hanging on that wall with stickers, and they fell off.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're ready to move on to something else. But anyway, I guess it's time to wind down for now. Yeah. But we wish you an abundant holiday season. We'll be, of course, be with you throughout. But I certainly, and I think moving away from people pleasing is one way to feel the abundance of the season.
I would want to wholeheartedly agree. And I think it also that being in spirit of yourself, showing up authentically with love first for you, because what a better way to spend the holidays than show up happy, right? And just from that place
and rested,
right? And wanting to be there, wanting to be relating to your people in spirit.
Yeah. All right. So practice small. Start with one thing that you can pause and reflect on before you respond this week. And then next week, have a goal of doing it 2 times or 5 times. Just build on those wins.
Yep. Don't people please, share your happiness.
Okay. Well, let's talk about how we can share our abundance.
Y'all, okay, this was going to be my line here today. We need you to get over onto the iTunes and leave us some reviews. We need written reviews so that we can, get our word out there to the masses. So if you found some value in this, if you have a people pleaser in your family, if you suspect your friend, if you haven't shared this with her already, or maybe it's your mom that needs to hear the word, please share this with the community and drop us a written review. And we would surely appreciate it. And do we still have coffee cups left, Sonya?
We do have some left. So if you leave a written review, we will drop your name in the drawing for a coffee mug, a lovely Coach's Cup mug. And we'll share some of our abundance with you, because this has been a huge year of growth for us. And we thank all of you for making that possible. But it is sharing these episodes and giving us those written reviews that helps us show up in the algorithms when people are looking. But we appreciate you. And so rather than, you made this point last week and I loved it, rather than spending advertising dollars on getting the word out, we would much rather do this as a grassroots kind of way and thank you for your loyal listenership. So we want to send you something, but we do need that little written review.
All right.
All right.
Happy holidays. And
Yeah, if you are looking for coaching through the holidays, you can find me at sonyagreencoaching.com.
And you can find me at the No BS Weight Loss Program. And what a better gift than to give yourself the gift of coaching. I mean, hello, we need a whole podcast on that, Sonya.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to talk about that. All right. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.